Hello and welcome to another edition of My Media Life, brought to you by the World Media Group. My name is Arif Durrani, and each edition will be talking to what we hope will be interesting and insightful media and marketing leaders from around the world. And this week, we're delighted to be joined by none other than Josh Krichefski, the Global Chief Operating Officer and the CEO of MediaCom and the CEO of EMEA at MediaCom. There's two big job titles there, both of which I'm sure at least half of our listeners have no idea what you do, Josh. So it's, we'll touch on that. But yeah, thank you. Welcome and thanks for joining us. We'll dive straight in. Actually, you're following Sir Martin Sol, who obviously used to work with for quite a few years and then parted ways quite publicly with WPP. Are you still in touch with Sir Martin?
Well, thanks for having me, Arif. Nice to see you. What a question. So I'm not in contact with Martin anymore. Not for any specific reason. Martin was a brilliant leader of WPP, massively helpful as when he was running the group. Always, I think he's quite famous for being kind of always on and always available, and he always was for people like myself when we needed help on clients or pitches. And so he was excellent. But obviously we don't work together anymore. So no. Now I have a brilliant WPP CEO, Mark Reed, who is equally helpful, and as I'm sure you're seeing, the group's doing really well. WPP is doing really well under his leadership, so that's great. And it looks like S4C is doing very well as well. So Martin's doing great things in his new life. But yeah, not really in contact anymore.
Yeah, nice words. Thank you, Josh. Thanks for answering a question which wasn't one of the official 9 questions, but that's what I'd get us off. Make sure you're on your toes this morning.
Yeah.
Okay, so more scripted now. What does the media industry mean to you, Josh?
Well, I mean, I've worked in the media industry for 24 years now, and I've always been on agency side. I've always done different things. I've done all sorts of different roles within agencies, and I had my own agency at one time. I've worked for independent agencies. I've worked for group agencies, and I suppose I've always been really grateful, I suppose, to be given all the different opportunities that I've had over the years. And I think the media industry is just filled with brilliant, creatively minded people who I think have got their feet on the ground. Like, I think that's kind of quite a universal trait of media industry types, sort of down to earth, smart people with small egos. And that's what we look for at MediaCom when we're hiring people. And I think that the industry's full of people like that. So I feel like, I owe this industry quite a lot, actually.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Thank you. And just tell us, so Global Chief Operating Officer, is that an internal facing role, or are you seeing clients as well?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think met anyone in an agency doesn't work with clients in this day and age. And I know COO can mean so many different things for different people and in different types of companies. So my job's really, as you said, I've got 2 jobs. I'm global COO, I'm a EMEA CEO. So as the EMEA CEO, my role is really working with the local markets. I've got all of the local market CEOs come up into me. And so I have a central team of specialist leaders. And together we work with the local markets on really trying to kind of find ways to surface all of the innovation and smarts and spread it across the region as much as possible. We've got a very strong network culture. So I would say, I speak to all the local market CEOs every 2 weeks together. I think that's been a benefit of what happened in the pandemic, actually, is that it's sort of technology brought us all together a lot more, and we've kept that going. So we've got a very open dialogue where we all talk to each other a lot. And I think what that means is that what it creates is a culture where everyone will do things for each other. Like, nothing's done through force. People genuinely want to help each other out. And really, I suppose my role is to try and facilitate that and try and create a culture where people want to help each other out. Obviously, I'm very, very competitive, and kind of my biggest KPI was always when I took over the CEO of EMEA role to make sure that MediaCom was the #1 agency in EMEA, and we are. So that's really about kind of driving new business both locally and at a regional level. And obviously, I'm client-facing across all of our European clients as well. So I have relationships with all of our lead European clients. And then my global COO role is really about trying to balance global objectives with local realities. So, we have lots of really important global clients with global client needs, and those global clients execute across the world in all of the markets, and we're in like 96 different markets around across the world. And often the objective of a global client and of MediaCom globally might be different from what a local market reality is. And so my job really is about trying to harmonize that as much as possible, I would say, and particularly across the G12, so kind of our biggest 12 markets. Mm-hmm. So that's a part of the COO role. The other part of it really is about making sure that we've got strong global client hubs so we've got client hubs in London, New York, Paris, Dusseldorf, Amsterdam, Singapore, and that they come up into me. And so I think my job there is really about making sure that we've got really strong leadership in all of those different places, and that a client, wherever they are, wherever they turn up, they're going to get the same experience from MediaCom.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that context. And it leads on actually to, so the question here, what's your favorite thing about your current job with that context in mind? Or your
I think my favorite thing about I like a lot of stuff about my job, actually. I mean, I love working with the local markets. I really do. I'm going to Madrid today, actually. I'm flying to Madrid today. And I love, meeting people on the ground, our clients, our leaders, and our teams. I really enjoy that. And I've missed it massively. So that's a thing I love about my job. And I also really, really love having a global, having a global footprint and actually being able to make decisions with the team, with, Nick Lawson, my boss, and with the people around me, and kind of that actually really impact the globe. And I love that. That's what I love about having a global job. And so, yeah, I think those are probably the things I like the most.
Yeah, very interesting. Now, if you were starting out in the industry today, where would you like to begin?
What sort of job do you mean? Like what sort of company?
Or what country, or what company, or what specialism? Because obviously the media business has expanded significantly in the past 25 years in which you've been working. You came in from a digital side, didn't you? Is that right?
Well, I actually did. It's good. I mean, it's a really good question. I didn't. I came in as a TV buyer. So that was the first job I ever had, was a TV buyer. I then went into planning, and then I joined a strategy consultancy at St. Luke's, the ad agency, and then I went into digital. So I did a few things before I went into digital, and they were really good grounding before going into digital. And I suppose in answer to your question, I don't think there's any right or wrong answer to, you can, the great thing about our industry is you can do anything, and then you can move to something else, and then you can move to something else. And all the experiences that you have in whatever specialism you do are valuable. So it doesn't really matter. Like, there's no wrong decision. And it's fun, I was on a call earlier today with our UK team, and they've established over the last 12 months, they've established quite quickly a scaled e-commerce offering where they do everything in e-commerce, literally everything in e-commerce. And they're doing it at pace and at scale. And they're starting to service some of our global clients out of the UK in other markets. Now, what I love about that is partly it shows the entrepreneurialism of actually quite a scaled operation that we've already got at MediaCom. So that entrepreneurial spirit is still there. But also, so when you were just talking, you were saying, where would you go? Like, the first thing that popped into my head is, well, e-com is a great place to be right now. But equally, it doesn't have to be. Like, you can move into that down the line as well. So I suppose my point is anyone who's interested in coming into the industry, my advice would be just try and find something that you think is interesting and get into it. And then the world will just open up for you, and then try different things.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I think the media industry, unlike many other professions or business verticals, you really can make your own path, and the path changes all the time. Absolutely. So with that in mind, what do you think your own secret talent or special talent is?
Well, I think the thing that I have always had that's been very sort of consistent in my life since as long as I can remember is I'm a pretty good judge of character, and yeah, I just have a pretty good feel for people generally. And my wife and I sort of joke about it quite a lot. Like she'll often sort of just go. She often has to come to me to get my perspective on things. But I think that's been a thing that's always been true to me and is really true to me in my career as well. Like I think I get people quite well.
Yeah, and it's a really underrated special talent that actually my wife's very good at it too. And it's a soft skill, but it's getting increasingly recognised as a really good driving force, especially when it comes to building cultures, which, in the context of the jobs, as you described what you're doing now, it makes sense. And anyone who I ask about you, I ask a few people beforehand, and, everyone talks about your empathy and your, the fact that MediaCom is people first agency, being empathetic obviously goes a long way. So yeah, well done on that. What's the one piece of advice that has helped during your career?
I mean, I think the thing that I always felt when I first started in the industry was about I think it's the thing that I learned quite early that I say to other people is take yourself out of your comfort zone as much as possible, and I think that's obviously feels like quite an unnatural thing for people to do, but it's definitely the thing that I did. I always sort of put my hand up for stuff that naturally felt like I didn't want to do. Like I'd say, someone would say, "Do you want to do this? Do you want to work on this pitch?" And I'd say, "Yes," even though I didn't want to work on this pitch. I wanted to go and hang out with my mates. Mm-hmm. But actually, I would put my hand up and say yes, and stretch myself and push myself and make myself feel uncomfortable. And I think that was the best thing that I could ever do. And I think it's the thing that I still do now, actually. And when I talk to Nick, like Nick will often say to me, that what he likes about working with me is that I just sort of throw myself into the stuff that's like really hard. And I think I kind of get a bit of a buzz off it, really. And that's what I encourage people to do as much as possible, because that's when you really kind of learn what you're about. And when we're growing, that's when we're at our best. And, we should always be growing. So that's my advice.
Yeah, it's a great answer. And just for those listening, that's Nick Lawson, the global CEO of MediaCom, when you say you listen to Nick, not just any Nick.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of just thinking about the media industry and the output, obviously it's for the World Media Group, where do you get your daily news from? So when you're traveling around, It sounds like you're traveling quite a lot again now the COVID situation is improving. Do you try and get some local market information as you move, or do you switch to an international news audience, news feed? How do you play it?
That's such a great question. I mean, I'd love to be more of an internationalist than I really am, if I'm honest with you. But I'm all about UK media, honestly, when it comes to the media where I get my news from. So I occasionally read The Guardian and the FT online, particularly during the week if I'm traveling. I always read the Saturday Times and the Sunday Times, which come to my house in the weekends. I listen to Radio 4 in the mornings, less so if I'm traveling, but I like to listen to them on the way to work. I like to listen to the Today programme. I've got Sky News on constantly, and I often have Sky Sports News playing on the TV during the day. And for industry news, I tend to read Campaign, Drum, Ad Age, I'd say. Yeah. Okay. So those I'd say are where, and that's quite a lot of news, but those are where I get my news from. Yeah,
good answer. Thank you. And in terms of media brands now, which are most important to you? And by this, we mean it could be lifestyle, it could be, incorporate things which aren't perhaps news media.
Well, I mean, listen, I think the US streamers are getting more important in everyday life, just because the more, I watch TV a lot, and I watch drama a lot, and it's coming from a lot of the US based streamers now. So they are playing an increasing amount, sort of taking up an increasing amount of my time in my day-to-day life. But the media brands that I'd call out are probably more UK ones where I live and where I consume most of my media. So Sky is always the first one that comes to life, partly because they're my client and have been for over 10 years. So I've got a very close relationship with them as a company and as a brand, and I want them to be successful. So they're important to me. But I'm also quite impressed by their culture. And, they are, I talked about a scaled business which is innovative and entrepreneurial. I think they are a very innovative company and a disruptive company. And yet they're a scaled company. So I think I love them, and they challenge us and they reward us in equal measure. And so they're an important media brand to me. My family, so I come from a family, I don't know if you know this, but I come from a family of lovies. So my dad was a TV producer, a drama TV producer. My brother, an actor. His wife is Abby Morgan, who's a playwright, film writer. Okay. And this means that I could watch TV drama all day long. And I love any kind of media broadcaster that creates good drama. And actually, I'd say loads of them do now, actually. And I'm probably not loyal to one brand more than another. But I think that all of the commercial broadcasters are doing fantastic work in drama right now, honestly. I think Channel 4 is a company I admire, definitely. I think their focus on inclusivity now more than ever is uncompromising, and it's incredibly impressive. And I think some of the work that they've done over the past 12 months has been amazing.
Do you think it needs to be privatized?
Sorry?
Do you think it needs to be privatized? I mean, is it fine how it is?
Yeah, it's fine how it is, honestly.
There you go. We've resolved that one for the industry, then they can move on. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
I agree.
I think, I like Global. I think it's like Sky. They're a company that sort of have quite a forensic approach to the customer experience, and I think it's always interesting to see how that as a media brand is evolving. And then when I think about the digital brands, I probably spend more time with Google and YouTube than I do any of the other digital players. Social media, I don't spend that much time. I spend a bit of time, but not that much time on at the moment. Obviously, I recognise how important social is in the world of media now, and what impact it has on people's lives, both positive and negative. But I think personally, I don't spend that much time on it, really.
How do you switch off from always being on?
I mean, I struggle, if I'm honest. I think, like most people, I tend to think too much. And when things are really kind of stressful and I've got a lot going on with work and I'm feeling anxious, I suffer from insomnia. So I get bouts of that where I just, I can't switch off in the middle of the night. But I think what I try to do as much as possible, and it's difficult when I'm spending time with, because the US is quite a big part of my role. And when I'm spending time with the US, it's quite difficult. You have to work quite late into the evening, and I struggle with switching off at night. And switching off for me in the evening is really important. So I try and do that as much as possible. When I'm with the US, it's difficult. But I think things that I do are I meditate, I practice yoga, I go to the gym, I read, I cook, I watch loads of TV, probably too much TV.
You quite like podcasts, don't you? I remember you.
Yeah. I do. I mean, I really like podcasts that are actually just like chats. So I'm not like into the kind of true fiction stuff. But a podcast that I'm loving at the moment is Smartless. So Smartless is it's hilarious. Basically, it's really, really funny. I love things that make me laugh, because things that make me laugh chill me out. And this podcast, Smartless, I'd recommend to anybody. It's three actors who just kind of hang out with each other and take the mick out of each other. And each of them, and what happens is one of them invites an A-list celebrity onto the podcast, and then the other two don't know who it's going to be. And then the three of them interview that person and sort of rib each other while they're doing it. And it's brilliant. It's really funny. And I recommend it. It's marvelous.
Yeah, it is amazing. You told me about it a couple of weeks ago, and I've been absolutely hooked. I've just listened to Tom York from Radiohead. They pulled on, but I'll definitely recommend it. Yeah, so it's the idea the other people in the studio don't know who's about to be dropped as a big main guest, and then they all interview them, and it's really, really addictive, I'd say. Okay, now final question: who or what inspires you, Josh?
Oh, I mean, I'm literally surrounded by people who are smarter than me, both at home and at work.
Prettier than you too, mainly.
What's that?
Prettier than you as well.
Yeah, prettier as well. Just generally better than me in every way. So I'm inspired by everyone around me, really. I mean, I work with all of the specialist leaders, kind of who are the best, and they are world class at what they do. Yeah, so I'm constantly inspired by them. I also work with all of our local CEOs who are amazing. So we deal with some of the most innovative clients in the world. So again, like, I'm constantly learning when I'm dealing with people, and I often sort of pinch myself and go, I can't believe I'm talking to people like this, and that I get to spend my days with them. And then at home, I mean, my wife she's a real inspiration for me, and she's definitely kind of, I talk about personal growth. Like, I'm always growing with her, and I'm very lucky to have her. And my kids keep me on my toes and keep me humble, and I'm the least important person in the house, and they make me realize that every day. And so I mean, I'm very lucky. I'm inspired by people day in, day out.
And I can tell you still have a passion for the business, and obviously for your family life as well. But in terms of the media business, you can still, I mean, do you feel like a seasoned old timer now, or are you still sort of just as enthusiastic about it?
I feel like a pretender. I don't feel like a seasoned old timer. I'm probably a little bit seasoned. I definitely feel that when I look down and I'm on a Zoom call and I see how bored I am. But I feel like I've still got so much to learn, and I've still got a lot to give, and I'm really excited about the future. Genuinely, I think our industry is thriving right now, and I think there's so much change happening, and it's just incredibly exciting. And I think there's a lot of stuff for us to do to be better. I think there's, in terms of diversity and inclusion, there's a hell of a long way to go. I think there's a lot more that we as an industry can be doing for society. But I'm kind of excited by that challenge. And so I feel really good about where we're going.
So if your children wanted to go into the media business, you would encourage it?
I would, actually. And I might not have always said that, but I definitely would say that now. So I really would encourage it. I think there's just so much, it's just a land of opportunity. So I would.
Josh, that's great. Thanks so much for your time today. Appreciate how busy you are.
My pleasure.
But it's been great talking to you. Take care.
You too.
And that's it. Thanks for listening to another edition of My Media Life, brought to you by the World Media Group. And thanks to Josh for those personal insights. Contender for one of media's nicest guys, I'm sure. To find out more about the group, or indeed My Media Life, do have a look online, worldmediagroup.com, or feel free to reach out to Chief Executive Belinda Barker for more information. That's it from me. Until the next time, do take care.